We shall begin with the light before diving into the darkness. We shall tell of the formation of order before confronting the rise of chaos. A chronicle unique to the God's lore deep dive. Stabilize your minds, O seeking souls of knowledge. Take a deep breath, because we are not just telling a story. We are witnessing the birth of a universe. The epic begins. The chronicle of order and chaos. ACT1, the dawn of order. Chapter 1, the Azure Dragon, the King, Creation. In the primordial era, before time was even a concept, there was no light, and there was no darkness. There was only one entity. An infinite existence, tranquil and perfect. We call it the Great Tao, Dai Dao. It is an ocean of consciousness, with no beginning and no end. It is neither good nor evil. It is absolute balance. It is everything, and it is also nothing. For tens of thousands of eons, the Great Tao simply existed. But, O listener, the nature of perfection is this. It yearns for manifestation. A great painting cannot eternally remain only in the mind of the artist. And so, the Great Tao, in a grand moment, breathed out. This first breath of the universe did the unthinkable. It separated chaos, Han Mang, from order, Trat 2. From the center of the Great Tao, the purest, most brilliant mass of energy was expelled. That was Qi. That was order. That was principle, law, and harmony. Simultaneously, the opposing part, the heaviest, darkest, and most instinctual part, was pushed toward the periphery of the universe. That was turbidity. That was chaos. That was randomness, disruption, and undisciplined freedom. And thus, the first universe was born. A dualistic universe. But the tragedy is this. Order, in its purity, began to build. It created the first stars, weaving perfect orbits. It created light, created elements. Chaos, in its instinct, began to break. It stretched out its dark arms, crushing stars, derailing orbits, consuming light. The primordial universe was a battlefield. The first elder gods, then, the children of order, tried to build. But as fast as they built, the primal monsters of chaos destroyed. Order could not win. Chaos could not win. They wrestled each other in an eternal dance of destruction. The Great Tao, the grand artist, observed. It saw its painting tearing itself apart. It realized, order, though perfect, was rigid. Chaos, though powerful, was blind. They needed guardians. They needed embodiments of order, but not the rigid gods. They needed living, flexible entities, carrying the very will of the Great Tao. Protectors who could understand chaos, yet chose order. And so, the Great Tao decided to intervene once more. It did not breathe out. This time, it refined 4 of the most quintessential threads of consciousness from its own being. 4 immortal lights. It granted them the power to govern the 4 directions of the universe, 4 pillars to prop up the arch of order, preventing the intrusion of chaos from the outside. They are not gods. Gods build. They are not demons. Demons destroy. They are sacred beasts, then Thursday. They are the guardians. They are the laws of the universe granted life. And at the center of the universe, where the first light was born, in the great East, where the dawn of order begins, the first ray of light descended. It did not strike the ground. It merged into the flow of stars, into the rivers of cosmic energy, dragon veins, that weave life. It took spring as its soul. It took wood as its bones. It took thunder as its roar. It stretched out, a magnificent body not of flesh and blood, but of the very starlight. Its scales were blue galaxies. Its whiskers were cosmic lightning bolts. The Azure Dragon, Tan Long, was born. The first beast, the protector of the East. It is not just a dragon. It is the manifestation of beginning, of fertility, of order stirring to rise. It opened its eyes. And its first roar was not a roar of anger. It was the roar of creation. The thunder of spring. Order, now had its first king. We have left chapter 1, where the great Tao, in its creative breath, bestowed the first thread of consciousness. In the east, the dawn of order, the azure dragon arose. He is the embodiment of spring, wood, fertility, and creation. Chapter 2, the white tiger, the general, judgment. The east, now, was protected. But, O listener, order is not only about beginning. It must also be about maintenance. Chaos, from the periphery of the universe, was still roaring. The primal monsters of the turbid chi were still pounding at the wall of order. The azure dragon, in its spring nature, could create new fortresses, but he was not a warrior. He was a creator, a sage. Order needed a sword. The great Tao needed an executioner. And so, the great Tao looked toward the opposite of dawn. It looked toward the west. If the east is where all things begin, the west is where all things come to an end, where the sun sets. If the east is spring, life, the west must be autumn, the season of harvest, of judgment, and of necessary endings. The great Tao refined the second thread of consciousness. This light did not carry the warm breath of wood. It carried the coldness, rigidity, and sharpness of metal. It did not descend upon the rivers of energy. It descended upon the ancient battlefields, where the first mountains were forged from the primal metal of the cosmos. And it did not take the form of a benevolent dragon. It took the form of a perfect predator. The symbol of military might, of slaughter and protection. It is the tiger. When that light condensed, it did not carry the color of life's green. It carried the pure white of metal forged to its extreme. A white of mourning, of uncompromising judgment. Its fur was the white of the cold moon. Its stripes were not black. They were silver lines, sharp as blades. Its claws were primal diamond. The white tiger, Bok Ho, was born. He is the protector of the West. And here, O listener, is when we must dive into his nature. If the azure dragon is the benevolent king, who creates the law, then the white tiger is the general, who enforces the law. He is the embodiment of execution, sat fat. A tragic concept. In this worldview, execution, killing, is not evil. It is a necessary part of order. Just as a gardener must prune sick branches, the white tiger exists to prune chaos. He does not grant life. He protects life by destroying what threatens it. When the azure dragon roars, it is the thunder of spring, bringing rain. When the white tiger roars, O listener, it is the sound of metal colliding, the sound of 10,000 unsheathed swords, the roar of autumn, signaling war and punishment. And so, the universe found its first balance. The East, creation, was balanced by the West, execution. Spring, birth, was balanced by autumn, death. Order now had its sage, and it also had its warrior. Chapter 3, the vermilion bird, the priestess, rebirth. When the nascent universe was shaped by two great pillars. In the east, the azure dragon reigned, the embodiment of spring, of creation, the king who issues the laws. In the west, the white tiger guarded, the embodiment of autumn, of execution, the general who enforces the laws. Order now had its creator and its enforcer. It had the beginning, birth, and the ending, death. But, O listener, a universe with only spring and autumn is cold. It is a universe of logic, yet lacking warmth. It has laws, yet lacks a soul. The great Tao, in its wisdom, realized, order is not just about existing. It must be about living. It needed a fire. It needed summer. If spring is germination, and autumn is harvest, then summer is the most brilliant moment, the peak of life, where energy explodes. And so, the great Tao looked toward the south. It refined the third thread of consciousness. This light did not carry the fertility of wood. It did not carry the sharpness of metal. It carried the purity, brilliance, and passion of fire. But this was not the destructive fire of chaos. This was the fire of the sun. The fire of life, the fire of purification, and most importantly, the fire of rebirth. The light descended. It did not fall to the earth, nor did it merge with the stars. It plunged into the heart of a dying primordial sun, a great supernova. It absorbed all that cosmic flame, absorbed the glorious death of a star, and from that very ash, it forged its own form. A form of absolute grace and power. A great divine bird. Its feathers are not mere plumes. Its feathers are eternal flames, the deep red color of vermilion. Its wings stretch out, eclipsing a galaxy. The vermilion bird, Chu-Tuok, was born. She is the protector of the south. And here, O listener, is when we must dive into her nature. She is completely different from the two other sacred beasts. If the azure dragon is the benevolent king of order, if the white tiger is the general of order, then the vermilion bird is the high priestess, the soul of order. Her essence is transformation. The white tiger brings death as an end, but the vermilion bird brings death, the consuming fire, as a new beginning. She is the universe's promise, that everything destroyed by chaos can be reborn from the ashes, purer, more brilliant. She is the symbol of hope. When the azure dragon roars, it is the thunder that creates life. When the white tiger roars, it is the clash of swords executing justice. But when the vermilion bird sings, O listener, her song is a clear cosmic frequency, dispelling all the wicked chi of chaos. It is the cleansing fire, the brilliant light of summer, incinerating despair and igniting the flame of passion in all things. Order now had its king, its general, and its soul. The east, creation, the west, judgment, and the south, rebirth, were positioned. Only one direction remained. Chapter 4, The Black Tortoise, the Sage and the Shield. When the three great pillars of order were lit. In the east, the azure dragon reigned, the king of spring, granting creation. In the west, the white tiger guarded, the general of autumn, enforcing judgment. In the south, the vermilion bird sang, the priestess of summer, granting rebirth. The universe now had its king, its general, its soul. Order had its beginning, its end, and its hope. But, O listener, a kingdom with a king, a general, and a priestess, will still crumble if it lacks a foundation. A fire, no matter how brilliant, vermilion bird, will eventually fade. A sword, no matter how sharp, white tiger, will eventually wear down. A creation, no matter how grand, azure dragon, needs time to rest. The great Tao, in its wisdom, realized order needed one final pillar. Not a pillar of action, but a pillar of stillness. Not of explosion, but of endurance. It needed winter. And so, the great Tao looked toward the north. The coldest, darkest, and deepest part of the universe. It refined the fourth, the final thread of consciousness. This light did not carry the life of wood, the sharpness of metal, or the brilliance of fire. It carried the depth, the stillness, and the constancy of water. But this was not the flowing water of a river. This was the primal ocean. This was eternal ice. The light descended, sinking deep into the darkest chaotic ocean at the edge of the universe, bordering chaos. It did not explode. It condensed. It took the endurance of the ocean as its essence. It took the wisdom of the darkness as its soul. And it did not take a single form. It was the perfect combination of two symbols. First, a great divine tortoise, Rua then, its body vast as a continent. Its shell was not mere shell. Its shell was the map of the universe itself, the secrets of the great Tao etched upon it, hardened to a degree that no power of chaos could pierce. It is the embodiment of defense and stability. Second, coiled around that tortoise, was a colossal divine serpent, Ran then. The serpent is not a separate entity, but the tortoise's will. If the tortoise is the defense, the serpent is the intelligence, the flexibility, the ability to comprehend chaos without being assimilated by it. Two yet one. One yet two. The black tortoise, Huin Vu, or the mysterious warrior, was born. He is the protector of the north. And here, O listener, is when we must dive into his nature. The black tortoise is the most silent sacred beast, yet the foundation of all. If the azure dragon is the king, creation. If the white tiger is the general, judgment. If the vermilion bird is the priestess, rebirth. Then the black tortoise is the sage and the shield. His essence is wisdom and endurance. The azure dragon, white tiger, and vermilion bird are sacred beasts of action. They fight, they create, they resurrect. The black tortoise is the sacred beast of existence. He does not move. He is the bedrock. He is the great fortress wall of the north, preventing the turbid chi of chaos from flooding the universe. He is the keeper of the most ancient knowledge. When the azure dragon roars, thunder. When the white tiger roars, metal. When the vermilion bird sings, fire. The black tortoise is silent. His presence is a great silence. The silence of winter. The silence of the deepest ocean floor. The silence of a sage who knows all, has seen all, and now only witnesses and protects. He is the stillness that all order requires to exist. And thus, our Act 1 concludes. The four pillars stand firm. East, azure dragon, wood, spring, creation. West, white tiger, metal, autumn, judgment. South, vermilion bird, fire, summer, rebirth. North, black tortoise, water, winter, endurance. The four symbols, Tu Tuong, are in position. The four great sacred beasts have formed a perfect wall, a cycle of order, birth, east, brilliance, south, death, west, and rest, north. The universe has finally found harmony. But, O listener, while the light of order was busy celebrating its own perfection, at the fringes, in the darkness that the great Tao expelled, chaos was also watching. It saw that order had created its champions. And it, in its primal instinct, began to mimic. It too would create its own champions. Not to protect, but to break.